A crybully is a person who harasses other people while playing the victim, taking advantage of the empathy of others to get away with their own abusive behavior. This video is focused on a particular crybully, some clown named Vadim, but this subject is more broadly relevant in the online space because this behavior is becoming more and more common. I wanted to make a video while this incident is topical, but do try and spot these patterns of behavior where you can, because people employing this tactic are especially pernicious. The audience will tend to side with them, at least in the beginning, and they need to be held to account for their abusive behavior. We're going to be looking at the fallout from the Hippy Dippy Championship, a political blood sports panel put on by Dylan Burns. In addition to Dylan, there are 5 other main characters: the 3 judges, Vadim, Katarana, and Danabo, and the 2 finalists, Destiny and Demon Mama. The basic idea here is simple. Dylan hosts the event, provides topics, and tries to keep the conversation civil. The panelists debate to compete and win over the judges, and after people are slowly eliminated, someone is crowned the Hippy Dippy champion, and Dylan mails them a wrestling belt. When it finally comes time to crown the winner, there's confusion between the judges and Dylan declares Destiny the winner. The exact details of this confusion aren't known, and this leads to a massive confusion and post-debate shitshow. But for now, I'll just say that I think this was Dylan's fault, but I don't think it was intentional. We'll return to the exact details of this first vote later, but for now, just know that everyone is deeply confused. The mistake Dylan made was announcing that Vadim changed his vote from Demon Mama to Destiny, making Destiny the winner. In response, Vadim leaked his direct messages with Dylan about the panel on Twitter, tagging Demon Mama and starting a 2-hour shitshow on Demon Mama's stream. This is the first place where we need to pause. Personally, I find leaking direct messages to be very unethical, even in these circumstances, but apparently you Zoomers don't respect privacy at all, so I won't harp on about how unethical this is. However, ethics aside, Vadim absolutely had the ability to handle this in private, and chose to go public instead. This is the first thing to realize about Vadim's crybullying. He is directly responsible for every step of the escalation of this conflict. Later, Vadim is going to try and blame anyone but himself, but there's no weaseling out of this. Vadim absolutely could have handled this in private and chose to go public. Vadim's leak is followed by a 2-hour argument on Demon Mama's stream. I've attached a 10-page Google document in the description which summarizes the most important events of this conversation, along with timestamps, so you can find the relevant events more quickly. And additionally, so I can summarize this conversation rather than having to play 30 minutes of clips from it. The first phase of this conversation is mostly trying to clarify what actually took place with the first vote, which takes roughly 40 minutes to resolve. Let's quickly review what could have been done about this. Option 1. Get to the bottom of the first vote. Option 2, do another vote. Or option 3, schedule another match. Dylan offers Demon Mama another match at least 8 times in this conversation, with the first offer happening in the first 10 minutes. We'll come back to the details later, but it is clear that Demon Mama is overall unwilling to have another match, while Dylan is more than willing to give her another shot at the belt, which he doesn't even need to do. The first vote was clarified around 40 minutes in. Both Danabo and Katarana voted for Destiny, while Vadim voted for Demon Mama. Demon Mama and Vadim never accept this, even though everyone else seems to agree, and the issue is clarified many times.
I was unclear on how the voting worked. I would have voted Destiny, and
oh my fucking god!
Everyone
Destiny.
agrees.
A second vote is also held around 40 minutes with the same results. Destiny wins. Demon Mama and Vadim spend the rest of the conversation arguing that this vote never should have happened, although they clearly agreed to it and it went to Destiny. This is what Demon Mama said before the vote.
Can we just have another vote then? And eliminate it to only Demon Mama, Destiny, and have the 3 judges make a vote?
I'm perfectly fine with that. If you want to have a 3-way vote and it's fair and everybody's votes are going to be tallied between me and Destiny.
We'll even have every judge in here and they'll have to do it directly. So
absolutely, go for it.
After the vote, Demon Mama concedes 2 times, but Vadim keeps interrupting her and keeps the conversation going.
I would have voted Destiny, and
oh my fucking god!
Everyone
Destiny.
agrees.
Destiny! Alright.
Alright, there you have it.
You sure you don't want another thing? We can have another match.
Nope, if that's the way the judges are going to vote,
No,
then it goes to Destiny.
Wait, so that wasn't you said that you did not know how we're supposed to not be.
Wait, you just said you wanted a revote, so my revote.
No.
Well, Dylan left anyway.
I didn't.
So.
I
looks like it's done.
Okay, all right.
I just agreed to it.
Yeah.
Wait. All right. This has not been fair. I really don't.
And then Demon Mama immediately forgets that she conceded and flips right back into playing the victim and trying to get the results overturned again. So you're starting to see the problem. Demon Mama and Vadim reject every reasonable solution to this conflict, and this conversation is basically them holding Dylan hostage. While not directly stated, what they want is obvious. They want Dylan to crown Demon Mama unconditionally. This is made particularly clear at these timestamps. Early in the conversation, Demon Mama seems open to a rematch with Destiny another day, while later, Demon Mama says she's only willing to schedule a match another day if she's declared the winner now, despite being unwilling to schedule a match later under any other circumstances. This is a very clear message from Demon Mama. The only outcome she will accept is being crowned the victor today. The only way Dylan can really get out of this conversation is to either cave to her demands or tell her to go fuck herself, and she knows Dylan won't tell her to fuck off, so she knows she can hold Dylan hostage, and that's exactly what this conversation is for 2 hours. Amusingly, Demon Mama even projects this.
Oh, so this is a hostage situation.
Dylan.
Yes, this is a hostage situation, but Dylan is the hostage, not you. This is a clear example of crybullying. Demon Mama and Vadim are the obvious instigators of this conflict, but they present themselves as having been wronged, and the only way to right these wrongs is to cave to their demands. However, neither of them have any right to make demands. It's Dylan's show. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, and Demon Mama admits this herself. So why does this conversation persist? Because Dylan is too nice to end it, and because they're holding him hostage. This concludes any reasonable conversation of the important matters at hand. Destiny won the first vote, Destiny won the second vote, and Demon Mama rejected a follow-up match despite Dylan repeatedly offering one throughout the conversation. From here on out, what matters is how Vadim and Demon Mama frame this conversation. First of all, Vadim and Demon Mama claim to be the victims here and say that Dylan was abusive and that they were treated very poorly. The problem is, this isn't what happened at all. At no point in this conversation did Dylan insult either of them. In fact, this conversation begins with Dylan raiding Demon Mama's stream, and he sat here for 2 hours, doing everything possible to try and appease their ridiculous demands. I can't prove a negative, but Dylan is repeatedly accused of being a dick in this conversation, so someone please explain why that is. Show me some timestamps. I see no evidence of Dylan doing anything wrong beyond the initial confusion. The only thing you could say that Dylan did wrong was bringing in CTV around an hour into the conversation. Although CTV actually tries to be quite constructive at the start and only gets belligerent after Vadim repeatedly calls him drunk and stupid. Let's take a look at a couple of those clips.
So
CTV, you are so full of shit right now. It's not even like I don't. You know I don't have a problem with you personally, dude. Like.
This establishes a pattern of Vadim's lies. So let's call it out here. Vadim fucking hates CTV. Vadim has been trashing CTV on Twitter for literally years, and Vadim seems to hate all conservatives and was vindictively trying to vote them off during the championship, including voting off CTV himself. Now, I can't prove anything, but tell me what you think of these clips.
Yeah,
CTV, there's one too many fucking cooks in this kitchen. Like CTV, like with all due respect, like you don't really deserve to have. I'm making the executive decision here. I am not Dylan Birds, but CTV should not be a part of this. First of all, CTV, I believe that there is a 12-step program. Usually they have late night meetings. Take it down a couple notches, brother. Listen, I was so fair. There were several times where I didn't necessarily think that you were giving the best arguments, but you were in there and you were fighting and you had fucking, like, I don't know, I hate this word, but for lack of a better one, moxie. So I gave it to you, and I took out other people who I actually who I'm better friends with. But then towards the end, I finally did knock you out. CTV, were you not the man who came in talking about how everyone was crying, and you are now like this is beyond embarrassing. This is like one of the most extraordinarily humiliating things I've ever seen someone do on the internet. I never agreed with you. Are you kidding? I didn't agree with you. I voted. I decided not to vote you out when I thought you were making bad arguments because there were elements of your style that I thought were worthy, and you were a good competitor. So I'm throwing those things out there to just kind of reinforce the fact that I believe that I was fair throughout. Shut the fuck up, okay? You talked for 4 minutes straight. You've said the stupidest shit ever.
A lot more if you like, right? Wait. So I'm looking at this tweet. So the voting on Hippy Dippy got...
All right, that's pretty clear, right? Vadim alternates between complimenting CTV to try and establish that he's not biased, and then says things that clearly imply he is biased, including telling Demon Mama to kick CTV from the call. And this comes up later, by the way. Vadim repeatedly tries to assert that Demon Mama didn't know she could kick CTV from the call, which is ridiculous, and it's clearly not the case, as Vadim told her to kick him, and she actually does kick him. Vadim and Demon Mama lie about this to try and play up their victim status and act as though they were unwilling participants in all of this instead of the instigators. I don't want to spend too much time on CTV, but it is worth pointing out that Vadim is far more rude to CTV than CTV is to anyone else. It's also worth pointing out that CTV is hilarious, while Vadim is completely humorless, and this is a wrestling program, whether or not Vadim wants to admit it. The only other time anyone says anything remotely hostile to Demon Mama or Vadim is Destiny, so let's go ahead and look at his comments.
Can you watch another debate right now if your brain is so scrambled from tiredness that you feel like you can't conduct yourself in a manner that is like reasonable?
Because
Vadim is going to try and frame this as Destiny needlessly insulting him, but Destiny isn't. Destiny's merely trying to reveal the truth, which is obscured by Vadim's crybullying. Vadim's sleep issue only comes up when Destiny asks Vadim why he's now trying to reject the second vote, and Vadim starts trying to curry sympathy by saying he was baited into it due to a mental fog. However, this is a serious contradiction. Vadim said he could judge a second debate only 20 seconds earlier. This is a clue that someone is crybullying. If Vadim really was mentally exhausted, he wouldn't have been willing to stay up and do another debate, or at the very least, he wouldn't have been able to do so responsibly. The truth of the matter is that Vadim isn't suffering from some unique mental hardship. He's just bringing that up to try and curry sympathy and obfuscate from the fact that everyone agreed on a second vote and Vadim is trying to reject it.
They're leaving out a very important thing. Are you ready? I'm about to blow your mind wide the fuck open.
Hey, Destiny, give it to me.
I'm about to blow your mind wide the fuck open, okay?
Well, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
You ready? So what happened is after they think that the voting got fucked, they didn't agree with the second, the way that the voting turned out. They said, okay, well, let's do a recount. And so they did the recount, but when they did the revote, actually, I'm sorry, not a recount, a revote. But when they did the revote, Danabo ended up voting for me as his first place. So then I ended up winning, and that's why now there's a whole bunch of trouble. They want to go back to what it was before.
Oh, huh?
And the really funny thing is, too, now this isn't really relevant, so I'm just shit-stirring here, is that when you watch Demon Mama stream, she kept pressuring Dylan to do another debate right now. We'll do it right now. We'll do it right now. We're doing it right now. But after they started going back and forth, and after I said, I think Demon Mama actually probably would have won based on the points or whatever, then when Dylan was like, well, let's do another debate, then Demon Mama was like, he said so many horrible things about me tonight on Twitter, I don't know if I can actually have another debate with him.
Destiny cops to shit-stirring here, but again, Destiny is completely right. Demon Mama absolutely was trying to manipulate the situation to her advantage by selectively agreeing and refusing to another match depending on what seemed best for her at the time. This isn't an insult. This is simply what happened. And that's it for the entire conversation. That's all you could possibly argue for them being treated rudely. Go back and watch the CTV section in particular. Vadim is clearly the antagonist, and CTV is actually far more reasonable than he's made out to be. So now, we've established that Demon Mama and Vadim are holding Dylan hostage, and no one was rude to them. How did Demon Mama and Vadim treat everyone else? Well, Demon Mama and Vadim either insult or bully people in this call at least 25 times. We'll look at a few of those clips. You can check the script for the rest.
I guess, I don't know. I guess we found out who really respects the business. Well, I mean if you're going to say that. Oh, so this is a hostage situation.
Dylan, don't do that. Don't do that, man. It's not.
I'm going to do it.
You had a lot of champagne tonight, dude. You're being the dumbest motherfucker on earth right now.
So, sorry, I took a little bit of executive action on my own, which is to not have this drunk idiot screaming in my ear. I have to prepare for a debate with you in which you're going to be an insufferable asshole.
Informative.
Okay. So what have I done out of line here?
So that's all we really need to say about this conversation. The crybullying should be very clear at this point. Demon Mama and Vadim instigated this conflict and were far more inconsiderate and abusive to everyone else than what was returned to them. The only reason they get away with this is by playing on people's good nature. The other people present aren't willing to call them out or tell them to fuck off. So Demon Mama and Vadim get to play the victim. This is obvious crybullying, and I am willing to call them out. And as bad as that conversation was, afterwards it gets considerably worse. Vadim has a 3-day Twitter meltdown in which he insults Dylan more than 40 times, refuses to take responsibility for anything that happened, blatantly lies about the course of events, insults CTV, and just generally acts like a deranged lunatic to anyone remotely clued into the goings-on of the previous conversation. This video is already way longer than I wanted it to be, so I'll just hone in on the worst of it, but please realize I could spend at least another 30 minutes purely on the insanity of these tweets. And I need to point out again, Vadim is being a massive fucking asshole and does not deserve your sympathy. If Vadim is allowed to get away with this abusive and disgusting behavior, you're merely caving to his crybullying. The whole point of this video is that Vadim must be held to account for his behavior. Whether or not he gets butthurt about that is irrelevant. Vadim is the antagonist, not the victim. First, let's look at how Vadim treats Dylan, keeping in mind that Dylan is supposed to be his friend. I count Vadim calling Dylan unreasonable at least 17 times, accusing Dylan of orchestrating the situation for profit at least 14 times, calling Dylan abusive at least 8 times, and at various times accusing Dylan of being childish, clueless, dishonest, manipulative, mean, stupid, and transphobic. While Vadim is going through this Twitter screed, Dylan defends Vadim 3 times, and also defends Demon Mama 3 times. And this is before mentioning the 14 tweets of Vadim calling CTV a drunk redneck, the 22 tweets of Vadim insulting random people who respond to him, the tweets harassing Danibo for not intervening to help him, or the hundreds of tweets spreading lies and conspiracy theories. I don't feel like going into all of it, because you should get the point. Vadim is being a raging fucking asshole. And how does Vadim get away with all of this? By crybullying, of course. An almost endless parade of tweets claiming victim status, or claiming that his behavior is the result of virtue and not malice and childishness. Tweet after tweet claiming that he isn't biased, isn't a bully, that Dylan just wanted to make money at his expense, that this is unfair, that he isn't a liar or a drama whore, and that this whole thing is somehow Destiny's fault, that this reminds him of the anti-SJWs of 2016. And most of all, 22 tweets talking about his anxiety or sleep disorder as a presumptive shield for his abhorrent behavior. The only light in the darkness here is some Chad named Wicked Supreme, who as far as I can tell is the only Twitch figure to call Vadim out on his horseshit. This exchange is particularly hilarious. Vadim tries to get on Supreme's platform, and Supreme tells him to fuck right off. And this is made all the funnier by the fact that Vadim later went into Supreme's chat and begged to be brought on, only to get perma-banned. I have no idea who this Wicked Supreme guy is, but I fully endorse his content. I recommend everyone go subscribe to his channel. Links in the description because this is absolutely fucking hilarious. I could keep trying to diligently cite sources and make arguments, but I don't want to be editing this video anymore. So let's just cut to the chase. Vadim was a hopelessly compromised judge from the beginning. He has a history of talking in Demon Mom's chat, and Vadim was obviously going to act in her favor from the beginning. Vadim is also a malicious liar. One of his tells is the same kind of false praise he gave to CTV earlier. He does the same thing with Destiny, repeatedly bringing up how he almost voted for Destiny, even though no one asked and it wasn't relevant. Vadim brought that up to try and project this image of impartiality, because in truth, he was compromised. This is made abundantly clear by these tweets where he lets his true feelings about Destiny be known. I don't believe for a second that he ever even considered voting for him. Vadim is a crybully, an asshole, and a genuinely bad person. At no point does Vadim admit any fault for any of his behavior. He only admits that Destiny did win, while continuing to rant for hundreds of tweets about how unfair the whole situation was, about how Dylan was an abusive asshole who rigged it against Demon Mama for money and clout. People who behave this way must be called out. Otherwise, this behavior is just going to spread and multiply. If people know they can get away with murder by pretending to be a victim, we're very quickly going to have a social situation dominated by psychopathic monsters. Vadim only feigns victimhood status to absolve himself. I've also been diagnosed with a serious sleep disorder and multiple anxiety disorders. Neither of those justify anything that happened here. Anxiety and exhaustion are not excuses for being an absolute fucking monster. I will give Vadim some advice though and explain how to fix this situation. First of all, you must accept culpability for your actions. Delete those tweets, admit fault for the situation, and most of all, publicly apologize to Dylan, who did absolutely nothing to deserve this. You should also publicly apologize to your viewers. While you like to pretend that everyone who was disagreeing with you was just a Destiny simp, most of these people seem to be from your own community, and you've outed yourself as a monstrous person. The only way you can regain their trust is by apologizing and fixing your wretched behavior. If you don't do that, the situation cannot be salvaged. Hopefully this video will resolve all standing disagreements about these events. They were purposefully confused and obfuscated by the bad faith actors Vadim and Demon Mama, but hopefully it should be clear what actually happened now. I'll return in a few weeks with my next video, which will be aimed, this time, at Vosh.